Underdeck maintenance intervals and procedures. The following maintenance intervals and service procedures are required to keep the compressor and its components in good operating condition and to maintain the unit's warranty. It is critical that you notify your service department when a service reminder is displayed on the VTEC 2 screen. Note that dirty operating conditions, as well as contamination in the compressor oil, will make it necessary to shorten these service intervals. The service kit part numbers are provided in the maintenance section of your service manual. If you do not have access to a manual, contact your local dealership or Vanair's parts department and provide the vehicle's 30- installation number located on the inside of the door jamb. A manual in PDF format will be emailed to your place of business. Take the time to inspect the air filter vacator valve. This is the flexible rubber cap on the end of the air cleaner. Check the oil level and fluid condition every day prior to operating your vehicle. These daily inspections can catch many potential problems long before they occur, and in the process prohibit frequent and costly repairs. Pay attention to the control screen when you start the system and frequently while operating your equipment. In addition to faults and warnings, service reminders are displayed on the VTEC for specific hours of operation. This will be the focus of our attention going forward. The first and possibly the most important system service is right after the break-in period. This is the initial 50-hour maintenance procedure. The 50-hour maintenance requires the following. Change the compressor oil filter. This is located here on the wet side of the tank and tied directly to the oil manifold. Failure to use Vanair certified service parts will void your warranty. Vanair's OEM oil filter is not a standard filter, but has an internal bypass valve designed to divert oil directly to the air end should the filter clog or fail. Drain and refill the receiver tank oil. Open the fill cap at the fill port. Remove the drain plug at the bottom of the tank. Drain and refill the receiver tank oil. Your fluid refill will require approximately 8 quarts of Vanguard screw compressor oil. Following your initial 50 hours on a yearly basis, you should clean the scavenge line orifices and filter screens. Make sure to blow off all cleaning solvent prior to reinstalling so as to avoid contaminating the compressor oil. Inspect the intake air filter. An initial inspection of the vacator valve will provide an accurate indicator of the condition of the filter element. Dirty working environments will require that you change your filter in much shorter intervals than those scheduled. The next scheduled service is every 500 hours, yearly, or whichever comes first. Change the air compressor oil filter. Drain and refill the receiver tank oil. Replace the intake air filter. Again, if your environment is excessively dirty, you will want to shorten this time frame and the other maintenance schedules to keep your system clean and operating at its best. Not included on the VTEC display, but critical to perform on a yearly basis, is the inspection of any outside-mounted cooler and to clean this if necessary. Cleaning the cooler requires Dawn dishwashing detergent, a hand pump spray bottle and wand, and a garden hose with a spray nozzle. Remove the electric fan from the cooler package. Spray the front and back of the cooler core, saturating the cooler fins with the soap solution. Allow this to sit long enough to loosen any existing dirt and grime. Then, with your garden hose, spray the cooler core in the opposite direction of the airflow. Do not use a tight spray pattern, as this may deform or damage the cooling fins. Reinstall the fan onto the cooler. Every 6,000 hours, replace the receiver tank separator element. Note that excessively dirty working environments will shorten this period. Replace the air filter at this time. Drain the tank in the same manner as indicated earlier. Note, vehicles with bodies and those installations that do not have at least 10 inches of free space behind the separator tank will require the tank to be dropped prior to replacing the separator element. Disconnect all air, oil, and electrical connections on the dry side control manifold. Disconnect the connections from the remote sensor manifold. Cut all the zip ties that connect any hoses, harnesses, or lines to the tank. Disconnect any additional P-clamps and zip ties on the discharge and lubrication hoses to the air end. With many service body installations, the coolant lines from the oil manifold tied directly to fittings on the floor or deck of the body. In this case, you will need to disconnect the hoses from the oil manifold before lowering the tank. Place a jack with a cradle, an ATV or transmission jack under the tank. Remove the bolts that secure the tank bands to the vertical frame supports. Slowly lower the tank, checking to ensure that nothing is binding or caught during the process. Remove all but the top bolt on the end of the dry side of the tank. Loosen this, but leave to keep the cover from falling. Set the tank lid or cover on a clean surface. Remove the separator element assembly, taking note of the ground tab placement, and reinstall the element in the same manner as the previous one. Hang the tank lid with a single bolt and ensure that it is properly placed. Install the lid bolts, tightening each by hand first. Then, in a star pattern, tighten and torque each bolt to 55 foot-pounds. Lift the tank into its original position. Secure the tank band straps to the vertical support brackets. Reconnect all of your hoses, harnesses, and lines. Replace the oil filter at this time. Replace the intake air filter and refill the receiver tank oil. With the tank filled, run the air end until it reaches operating temperature. Turn the compressor off and allow the compressor oil to settle for 2 minutes. Check the sight glass and add additional oil if needed. This concludes the underdeck maintenance schedule and procedural instructions. If you have any questions, service comments, or concerns, please contact your nearest service location or call Vanair at 1-844-826-7378 for further assistance.